Welcome to your channel RayofHope, and this is going to be another series for bug bounty hunting, right? We have already covered some of the bug, and today we're gonna cover cross-site scripting, which is known as XSS. We're gonna cover the practical and theoretical both actually. At this point of time, we will be covering the fundamental of cross-site scripting, right? Stay tuned with us. When we talk about XSS, what is XSS? XSS is a web security vulnerabilities in which attacker inject malicious script into a website or web application. Whenever user access this website via their browser, then attacker executing malware. Whenever the site is loaded, thus attacker retrieves sensitive information from the user like cookie info, session tokens, and other sensitive info, which they can use for their intentions. Now, we talk about there are multiple types. Like some says there are 4 types of XSS, some says there are 3 types of XSS. If they are talking about 4, we have reflected, stored, blind, and DOM. But when we talk about 3 types of XSS, we have reflected XSS, stored cross-site scripting, and DOM-based XSS. Let me cover in detail. Reflected XSS. It occurred when the payload is stored in a data sent from the browser to the server. Here, attacker usually send phishing emails to victims with a link that direct user towards the vulnerable page. From this page, attackers often employ a variety of methods to trigger their malicious payloads. Thus, in reflected XSS, user interaction is mainly required. That means, without the interaction of user, you could not perform cross-site scripting. You would need a user to be interacted with the payload. Or like suppose you find a vulnerable parameter and you encoded or you injected malicious JavaScript code over there. But if the user is not clicking on that link, then that has of no use. Stored XSS as compared to reflected, it is more dangerous, because it is getting stored in a server. Let me cover. It occurs when the attackers permanently store their payload on a compromised server, causing the website to deliver malicious code to other users. Here, malicious code is already saved in the server side, for example, file upload field, comment in the server. Thus, whenever user upload files or reads any comment where attackers code the stored, then attackers may be able to retrieve their session ID or cookies info or any other sensitive information. Therefore, this is the most dangerous and most commonly employed type of cross-site scripting attack. Blind XSS as compared to reflected and stored, it occurs where the injected malicious script is not immediately executed in the attacker context, making it more challenging to detect actually. The script is executed in a different context or environment, often on a system that processes the stored data later on. This can include administrative dashboard, logging system, or any other backing system that render the user input. Last, DOM-based XSS. DOM-based XSS, it occurs at the client side. Again, reflected and DOM, it occurs at the client side. Stored XSS occur at the server side. DOM basically means it is a cross-site scripting vulnerability that appears in a DOM. What does that mean? Document object model instead of part of HTML. Basically, in reflected and stored XSS or cross-site scripting, attackers, you can see the vulnerable payload or in the response page, right? But as compared to DOM, in DOM XSS, you would not be able to find the response in the payload in a code actually, right? So the HTML source code response of the attack will be exactly the same, right? That a payload cannot be found in the response. It can only be observed on the runtime or by investing the DOM on the page actually. So you have to manually do that. When you intercept the traffic, HTTP request, and in reflected, you can see that your payload in the response. But when you intercept the traffic in DOM-based XSS, you could not find it in your response, right? You could say this in your interview. Now, how do we gonna identify that if the website has XSS or not? Basic but yet most effective manual code review, dynamic analysis, and automated security scanning. manual code review stands always on the top of it. Because if you know the code review, you are the master of hacking. Dynamic analysis, injecting payload on the parameters to see if you are able to execute the JavaScript malicious command over there or not. We have multiple commands, we have multiple tools already there in the market which found the available accesses on the website, on an application. How access attacks actually work? When you inject a JavaScript code in an input field or any other one of a parameter, it gets executed, stored or reflected. And when the user interact with the vulnerable area of an application where you have executed the malicious content or JavaScript code, you steal their sensitive info or data like session ID, cookies info, which you can perform to success in your intentions like account hijacking and many more. Impact of XSS. We already talk about it, like data theft, account hijacking, website defacement, malware distribution. It is not limited to this only. We can perform multiple attacks. Exploit XSS. These are some basic payload. A basic payload like to display, like if you just put this script alert, paid JavaScript code on any input field, if it is reflecting you, that means you can perform the possible XSS injection over there. You can use like steal user session cookie info. Like hijack, you can hijack their account. You would not need their login info or credentials or password or username even. You can steal their session ID and cookies, and with the help of that, you would be able to log into their account. And multiple. If I show you practically, then we have mitigations for XSS. Input validations. In every interview, whatever work I'm talking about, or you want to talk about, they will ask you, what are the mitigations? How you can mitigate those attacks? Input validation and sanitization. And what it is? Website code should validate and sanitize all the user input and remove or escape potentially dangerous characters or code. And this should be done by the developer, right? Which is a secure coding practice. Output encoding, CSP. CSP is not, you are not going to implement just for a JavaScript or a cross-site scripting attack, but it helps to mitigate other injection attack as well, including HTML, XML. Of course, you would need to implement web firewall, web application firewall. That way it will stop the malicious traffic. Best practice. How we can initially stop at a time when we are building the application. We can keep this in mind to do the secure code. That will mitigate the input validation and any other security issues. Regular security audits, keep the software updates, and follow the best security standards. Now, you might get confused that what are the difference? This is the basic, very basic code looks like. If you run this, like if I say this, like Anuj, I'm going to get this. My first name is Anuj, but I'm gonna go ahead and use a basic script. What I'm gonna do now? I'll just paste it. See, it is showing, right? It is reflecting. That means over here, this is reflected XSS. Understand the difference, right? This is what I meant to tell you. This is how a script looks like if it is getting executed. Now over here, it is getting executed as a code. It is not getting executed as a text, but it is getting executed as a code. Understand it? Cool. This would be much for this video. We will be covering all the practical scenario, practical labs on our web applications. Do subscribe, like, and if you like the video, do comment your views on it. Thank you.